everyone, and welcome back. Today we are doing something that's a little bit new for me and my YouTube channel in that I am going to do a review of an entire series rather than doing each book one by one. So today the series that we're going to get into is the Dreamland Billionaires series by Lauren Asher. I actually just read all of these books, and I read the first and second book in January, and then I read the third one in February right after it released. So for a little bit of background on this series, it is about the Kane brothers, who are mega rich and who are set to become even more rich after their grandfather passes away. The kicker here, of course there is a kicker, is that to receive the inheritance that their grandfather has left for them, each of the brothers has to complete some tasks that their grandfather has also set for them in his will. And each of the brothers has to complete their task for all of them to receive the shares of his company that he's left. What's so fun about the inheritance and the will and the tasks that their grandfather has set is that he is really challenging them through the tasks that he's set for them. He has challenged them to do things that they really don't want to do and that completely go against their personalities. So through all of the books, they are really struggling with trying to decide if they even want to go through with his crazy plan. I can't even believe that I have forgotten to tell you this piece of the story until this moment. Please forgive me. But one of the major aspects of this book is that the setting takes place in Dreamland, which is a theme park. And yes, also like the Dreamland Billionaires, as the series of the title. So Brady Kane is the grandfather mega millionaire who founded Dreamland. This theme park is set in Florida, so it is very much like Disney, and I just really appreciated this bit of the book and the setting because I am from Florida, so I just really connected with the area and the writing and loved the aspect of the theme park. So now to get into each of the books a little bit more, the first book is The Fine Print and follows one of the brothers, Rowan, and this is a workplace romance. In this book, Rowan is very focused on trying to run Dreamland, and I want to say he was even like the financial officer for the company. But the important thing to know about him is that he truly only cares about the profits that Dreamland is making. He doesn't really care about people in his personal life or at work. All he cares about is making a profit. Our other main character in this book is Zara, and of course, she is 100% opposite of Rowan. And she was basically raised at Dreamland. Both of her parents worked there, so she has always been there throughout her entire life while she was growing up, and she also now works there. Zara really cares about the people of Dreamland because they're pretty much like family to her, and she cares about it so much that one night, while she has maybe had a little bit too much to drink, she decides to submit a proposal that is pretty extreme, that gives a lot of suggestions to Dreamland about things that they can improve on. This book was such an easy and fun read for me. I gave this one 4 stars and flew through it. Second book in the series is Terms and Conditions, and this one is a marriage of convenience. We have our two main characters. So we have Declan Kane, who of course is one of the Kane brothers and who we're going to focus on in the second book. And our other main character in this book is Iris, who is Declan's assistant, and just so happens to be one of the only assistants he has been able to keep because he is pretty hard to deal with. It turns out he's a pretty rude person in general and an awful employer. No one wants to deal with him or work with him, but somehow Iris has been able to tolerate him. Part of Declan's rude personality is that he just truly feels like there's really not a good match for him. He is perfectly content spending his life alone and feels like everyone else is just going to be a disappointment to his expectations. So, of course, that is why Brady Kane, the grandfather mastermind of all of these inheritance clauses, makes Declan's clause that he has to marry and have a baby to receive his portion of the inheritance. I actually think that this book was my favorite of the 3. I could not put it down. The banter and growth and just communication between the two characters was so much fun. I should also mention that this book was nominated for a Goodreads Best Romance of 2022 award, and I so understand that. It really was that good. So read it if you have not already. The third and final book is Final Offer, and like I mentioned before, this one is a very new release. It came out sometime in February, and I loved the other two books so much that I went and got it the day that it released and also read it in that same weekend. So that will tell you something about how much I enjoyed all of these books. Now, in the third book, we are following Cal, and he is the youngest of the three Kane brothers, and he is really struggling at this point in his life. He is kind of the troublemaker of the brothers and is really struggling with addiction. Cal's inheritance clause is that he has to go to the family's lake house and spend a month there and then sell the house. Now, I know that sounds easy enough, right? Like, just go stay at the house and then sell it. Okay, whatever. Cal thinks that too. But then what we find out is that his ex-girlfriend, who absolutely despises him, hates his guts, and who he treated pretty badly, lives in the house and is co-owner. So now Cal not only has to convince his ex-girlfriend to let him stay in the house, but also he has to convince her to sell the house. And now she lives there, like full-time lives in the house and is raising her daughter there. Now, Cal has to accomplish these things without telling his ex-girlfriend about the inheritance or the will. If any of the brothers tell someone else about what they have to do, it automatically disqualifies them from being able to receive their inheritance. I think I may have also forgotten to mention that the third book is a second chance romance, so I'm not going to share any more about the plot because I'm sure that you're going to be able to figure this out. Now that you have a little bit more information about the series and the books, let's discuss some of the things that I liked about these books. So the first thing that I wanted to mention is how much I love the cover of these books. I'll go ahead and post some pictures up there for you, but I just really love the way that these books look. The next thing that I really enjoyed was that in terms and conditions, there are really pretty chapter pages. On every page that has a new chapter, there is a black portion of the page with a picture in white within that. I don't know that I've ever seen a book do something like this, and I just really love this type of inverted look. And here is what I'm talking about. So if you can see, the page is black, and then there is a white outline of a dress within that. I hope that you appreciate this as much as I do, otherwise I'm gonna seem so silly for sharing this, but I just really love the detail that went into each of these books. The next thing that I really loved about all three of these books was the writing style. With books of this size, I really want to read it. And what I mean by that is there have been times where I've gotten into a pretty lengthy book and I just don't really want to read it after a certain point. It's just not grabbing my attention, but that was not the case with these books, and I am so glad for that. The build-up between the characters was so good in all of the books, and also these books were just really funny, and I enjoyed all of the characters in all three of the books. Another thing that I really loved about this series and about Lauren Asher's writing is that she touches on some really important topics in each one of these books. For example, The Fine Print, which is the first book, gets on the topic of people with disabilities. In the second book, we kind of get into equality for women in the workplace. And in the third book, we are dealing with addiction and the things that families face together in trying to battle addiction. I love and appreciate the way that Lauren Asher brings these topics up and uses it in a way to enhance the story and get people thinking about very real world issues without making the entire book based on that one topic that she's bringing up. For a ranking of all three of the books, the second book was definitely my favorite book of the series. Then I think that I would say The third book is my second pick, and then the fine print would be my third pick. So the great news is that when you start reading this series, if you haven't already, it's only going to get better after the first book. Overall, I am going to give this series 5 stars. I truly loved it. Like I said, I enjoyed the writing, I enjoyed the topics that were brought up, I flew through them and could not put them down, so definitely a 5-star series for me, and I would highly recommend that you read them if you haven't already. I really hope that you enjoyed this different type of review in the entire series rather than each of the books individually. Please let me know your thoughts down below because I want to give you reviews in the way that you want them. So if you want each book separately, I will do that. But if you liked the entire series as a whole, I will try and see what other series I can read and review for you. And as always, I really appreciate you watching and your support. Let me know if there are any other books or series you want me to review for you, and I will be sure to do that. I will see you all in the next video. Bye!